All right, all right. So once again, appreciate everyone for chiming back in. I know your time is valuable. I value your time, and I appreciate you all for respecting mine as well. Today, I want to speak to you all about a topic that is extremely important, vitally important to our everyday life, to our salvation, all right, to us continuing to grow on our walk in wisdom. And today I want to speak to you all about fear and the four levels of expectancy. One more time. Fear and the four levels of expectancy. All right. So some of you all may not know about the four levels of expectancy. I'm quite sure that you at least know about two or three of them, but you may not know the order that they go in. And I want to be able to share that with the body of believers today, that there are four levels of expectancy. There's this adversary over to the side called fear. And then on the righteous side, there are four levels of expectancy. All right, so this is called fear and the four levels of expectancy. So let's start off. Let's go into the book of wisdom, chapter 17. And for those that's been tuning into this live, you know I call it the book of wisdom, wisdom of Solomon. All right, so let's go to the book of wisdom, chapter 17. We're gonna talk about fear for a little minute. All right, I don't want to magnify fear, but it's one of the most deadliest and potentest diseases that's ever existed in the history of mankind, along with pride-itis. But fear and pride, these are two of the worst diseases that any individual can have. But I have to speak on it right now. We're going to talk about this fear. It's in the wisdom book, so we can talk about fear on Wisdom Wednesday, and then we're going to talk about these four different levels of expectancy. All right. So the book of wisdom, chapter 17, verse 12, it said, for fear is nothing else but a betraying of the succors which reasoning offers, and the expectation from within being less counted the ignorance more than the cause which bringeth the torment. So now, before I go down to the next couple scriptures, it said, fear is nothing else but a betraying of the succors which reasoning offereth. So this is the definition of fear pertaining this as given by the wisdom of Solomon, not the Webster Dictionary or the Oxford Dictionary.com definition of it. It is wisdom of Solomon's definition of fear. It is nothing else but a betraying of the succors which reasoning offers, the reasoning that we see inside. All right, and it said, in the expectation from within, being less counted the ignorance more than the cause which bringeth the torment. Which brings the torment. So if you have an expectation, we talk about the four levels of expectancy today. If you have an expectation which is less due to your ignorance, it's going to bring torment, according to the wisdom of Solomon, chapter 17. No, 14, but they sleeping the same sleep that night, which was indeed intolerable, and which came up out of them, out of the bottoms of an inevitable hell, were partly vexed with monstrous aberrations, and partly fainted, their hearts failing them for a sudden fear, and not looked upon, came upon them. So it said that in verse number 16, so then whosoever there fell down was straightly kept, shut up in a prison without iron bars. You see this? So this is what fear would do to any one of us. It will have us in a prison without without iron bars. We will be in a place of torment in our own mind right here. All right, this is what fear causes. The expectation from within being less than the cause, counted the ignorance more, which leads to torment. Now let's continue. What are some of the basic fears that we deal with, that people deal with as a whole? I want to talk to you about a few of them. So we have the fear of poverty. We have the fear of the unknown. We have the fear of death. We have the fear of the loss of love. We have the fear of noise. We have the fear of not being accepted. All these are the basic fears that individuals deal with every single day. And we have what's a word called paraphobia. What is paraphobia? Paraphobia is the fear of everything. Individuals are afraid. How many of you all know of people that's afraid of everything? They just I went on a ministry trip years ago, back when I was in in sun worship, if you will. And I was going on a ministry trip with two women, and I was with one of these women who was supposed to be a minister, and she was just like afraid of everything, a fearful and a frightened spirit. If you know someone that's like that you get around them and they're just afraid of everything, all right, put a 100 in the check, if you will. So fear brings torment. Fear will torment you in your mind. We talked about fear, paraphobia. Fear has probably killed more people than any other disease in mankind outside of pride, fear and pride. So let's go to Job. Let's go to Job chapter 3. Go to the book of Job chapter 3. It's going to be real key. It's going to build up to the point of where I'm trying to go with this message today. Go to Job chapter 3. I don't like to really magnify fear, but I got to talk about it today. So Job chapter 3, and we're going to go to verse number 25. It said, for the thing which I greatly feared is come upon me, and that which I was afraid of is come unto me. So Job said that the thing that I have feared is greatly come upon me. Listen, I'm here to tell you today, if you fear something long enough and strong enough, it's going to happen unto you. Job said, the thing that I greatly feared has come upon me. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 10 and verse 24. We're staying in the wisdom books. I went to Job. That's not part of the Torah of wisdom, but let's go to Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 10 and verse number 24. All right. It said, and the thing and the fear of the wicked, it shall come upon him, but the desire of the righteous shall be granted. Once again, it said, the fear of the wicked shall come upon him, but the desire of the righteous shall be granted. So the point that I'm trying to make, the point that I'm trying to prove is when you go back to the book of Job, chapter 3 to 25, when you go to Proverbs chapter 10, verse 24, all right, whether you're a righteous individual or a wicked, the thing that you fear long enough and strong enough, it is going to happen in your life. No questions about it. So now let's continue, because this whole thing is not about fear. I told you it's talking about fear and the 4 levels of expectancy. Fear is so bad that the Most High in the scriptures, when we go to Deuteronomy chapter 20, it said he told the children of Israel that if there be any among you that's fearful and faint-hearted, send them home, lest the hearts of their brothers faint just like the hearts of them. So if a person has fear inside of their being, they are required, they're commanded to go home. Why? Because that fear will spread. That fear will fester. It will rub off on the other individuals. So it's very important that you don't be associated with individuals who are walking around with fear. We talked about the basic fears. When you go to the book of Proverbs, it said anxiety in the heart of a man, it causes depression. Heaviness in the heart of a man maketh stoop, but a good word makes it glad. So you got to watch out for fear, because it can masquerade itself in words that's called stress. It can masquerade in words called anxiety and stress, anxiety, depression. These are words that we need to get out of our vocabulary. These are words that show that we actually welcome fear into our life. Now, how do we conquer fear in the first place? Let's talk about this for a second. All right, when you're dealing with the situation with fear, all of us have some type of fears in our life. We deal with them from time to time. Some of us, we think about, when it talks about that later on in the wisdom book right here, in the book of Ecclesiasticus, it talks about when a person is in life, they're thinking about things to come, and it actually brings about a fear. It actually takes away sleep from them. How to conquer fear? It's like we got to feel the fear and take action anyway. Listen, check this out. There was in the 6th grade, it was a bully. And when we went on a break, this bully he was punching on everyone in the class. He lined everyone up, and he was just going to everybody's bodies, punching them hard. And so when it got up to me, I had a choice to make. It's either I was going to sit back and let the bully punch on me, or I was going to fight this bully back. I chose to fight him back. I was hitting him back. And once he saw that I was ready to fight him back, he put me in a different category than the other people who he punched. And from that day forward, he never tried to bully me again. All right, to my understanding, to my knowledge. So you got to fight the bullies back in your life. You got to fight the fear back. when you feel fear coming up on you, you got to step up to the plate and you have to fight the fear. Let's continue. 75% of people that's in the hospitals today, they suffer from EII. What is EII? It's emotionally induced illnesses. It's emotionally induced illnesses. What that means is that the people that's in the hospital, they're 75% of it's not really nothing wrong with them, but because they fear that something may be wrong with them, their body takes on the symptoms as if something actually is wrong with them, and it produces the like result that they was expecting anyway. Remember, I'm talking about fear and the 4 levels of expectancy. If you expect something to be wrong with you and you keep on expecting that over and over again, something's going to eventually be wrong with you. Now, how do you conquer fear? Another way. It says in the book of Isaiah, throw on a garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. Heaviness, like I told you before, is another word of fear. Speak over your situation daily. So now that's fear. We about to be done with fear. Now we about to deal with these 4 levels of expectancy. All right, so the first level of expectancy is called hope. All right, hope. So we're going to talk about that. And so let's go to Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. I'm going to go ahead and read it. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. Hope is at the bottom level of expectancy. All right. When you're thinking about hoping for something, does that sound like you really have a strong belief in it? I hope that this happens. I hope that I get a raise in my job. I hope that some people call in tonight. I hope that, people will show up to our conference. I hope that, our bills are paid. Does that sound like a person that has a strong belief? Does that sound like a person that's operating in amunah? A person that's operating and exercising their belief? No, that don't sound too strong at all. The person talk about I hope that this happens. So pay attention. Hope is at the bottom level, even though it's connected to faith. In Hebrews chapter 11, faith is now the evidence of things hoped for. So we're going to get to faith because faith is the second level of expectancy. Hope is at the bottom ground, all right? So it says hope. Faith, hope is weak, all right? Hope is weak. I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there for you. If you hope for things to happen your whole life, you're going to be a person with very little results. You're going to be a person that's not going to accomplish major things if all you do is just hope for things to happen. You hope for your children to be good. You hope for your spouse to go and come up to the line. All right, hallelujah. You hope, hope, hope. That is weak talk. That is the talk of a weakling. I'm telling you this, and it's in the Bible, but I'm still telling you that if you just hope all day, your belief is weak. Your expectancy is weak. Hope. All right, so let's go to Proverbs chapter 13. Proverbs chapter 13 and verse number 12. Let's get this to it for a second. Proverbs chapter 13 and verse number 12. It says, hope deferred makes the heart sick, but when the desire cometh, it is a tree of life. Let me say that one more time. It said, hope deferred makes the heart sick. If you keep on hoping for things to happen for you in your life, it's going to eventually cause you to become sick. It's going to eventually cause you to become ill. All right, and sometimes we relate that to if someone else is hoping that you're going to come through for them. And sometimes when our children, I've been in a situation now where I've had to tell my children things a day or two before they happen, because sometimes in the past I would have a situation coming, I'm about to take them somewhere, and the next thing you know, someone wants to come and buy a car from me. So I will put time with my children all to the side to get to the bag, to go make this sale, to try to do what I need to do. And so now they had to come to a situation where they hope was deferred. There was delayed. What they hoped for did not happen right away, and it made them kind of sick in a certain type of way. But this is the same thing that can happen to us as believers of the Most High, is that if we keep on hoping for things to happen without believing, we're just hoping, instead of believing, it will make us sick. It will make us have sleepless nights. It will make us be filled with frustration if we just hope all our lives. Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 9. We in the wisdom book still. We're still in the wisdom. Ecclesiastes chapter 9. All right, Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse number 4. For to him that is joined to all the living, there is hope. So it's hope for everyone. All right, to everyone that's joined unto the living. We all have at some level of our lives, hope for things to happen. But what I'm trying to do today is I'm trying to help you build to another level of consciousness. I want to help you to build to another level of expectancy tonight and go from hoping to this next level that I'm about to talk about, which is believing, all right? Hope is what I would like to call a halfway belief. Start a business, get your LLC set up, get your EIN in place, and hope for customers to come for you. Sit back all day and just hope for things to happen and see how long you be in business. See how long it be if you just sit back and hope that people are going to come to your social media page and like your post. Sit back and hope that customers are going to come and support your, whether you have a fast food business, a car dealership, a hair salon. Hope that people are going to come and patronize your business and see how long you're going to be in business operating. Hope is what I call halfway belief. A person that hopes for things to happen for them in their life, they already have a backup plan already in place because they really don't believe that what they're trying to embark upon is going to come to fruition. So they already have a plan B. What I'm dealing with right now, yes, I have something else in the background. I have a nonprofit going on. I have a business that I'm running that I focus a lot of my time on. I sell books. I do different other things. But these other things that I have going on, they're not standing in the way of me running my business every single day. These are things that I do on the side to generate additional streams of income. But I'm focused on my main tasks, my main work that I do every single day. And there is no plan B. I don't have a plan B right now because what I'm putting my heart out to do, it has to work. I don't like to refer to worldly people too many times, but there was a saying by 50 Cent. He said, I'm gonna get rich and I'm gonna die trying. Now I'm not trying to sit back and glorify what he's saying, but what I'm trying to use is that he used a principle that it's going to happen for me, or I'm gonna die in the process of trying to make it happen. Now, like I said, I'm not glorifying his lifestyle or glorifying who he is, but I am magnifying the belief behind the whole situation. Remember that the Messiah said the children in this world are in their generation wiser than the children of light. Remember that the Messiah also said that the greatest level of faith that he received, that he witnessed in his whole life, it came from a Gentile. It came from a person from a centurion, someone that was over in a certain part of the army. He said, listen, I don't need you to even come into the door of my home. Listen, I've heard about you laying hands and touching people, but listen, I'm not even worthy for you to come into my home. Just speak the word. And the Messiah looked around and said, listen, I have not seen all this type of faith even amongst my own people in the whole nation of Israel. So we got to go from hoping. Hope is the weak person talk. All right, let's get hoping out of our vocabulary. Are you going to hope to sit down, or are you just going to sit down in the chair? Let's continue. People that hope for their business to prosper doesn't truly believe in themselves or the operation. The person that hopes consistently thinks, what if or what not, it's not going to work. That person is already planning for failure. They will be a part of the large group of people. I believe it's 70+% of entrepreneurs that close their business within the first 3 to 5 years because they hope that it was going to work out for them. Hoping is not going to do it. The person with faith, we talk about faith, now we're getting into that next level now. The person with faith or a strong belief doesn't count on a backup plan. They're willing to risk it all. Listen, when I was selling cars, which I still have my dealer's license, all right, I was willing to put it all on the line. When we was in a situation where my landlord, whom I was renting from, he had a shady plan of kicking me out of the kicking me out of the building that I was in without even telling me, even though my rent payment was due every month on time. I paid it on time every single month, didn't have a problem, all right? But he had underhanding plans to kick me out. And so now scrambling, all right, I was down to maybe only a couple $1,000s at the time. And so my wife and I, we was in another city living. And so we had to go and find another car dealership, and we had to do it fast. So days were going by. You talking about a fear, an anxiety, it was coming over me. That spirit, that thing wrapped its whole arms around me. That thing was around me like a blanket. Every single day, I felt the paraphobia. I felt the fears, all these different type of fears I talk about. These different fears of poverty, fears of lack. All right, I was dealing with those basic fears that I mentioned earlier. And so I had to read. I got into the wisdom book. I started reading the Ecclesiastes chapter 2 every single day. My son, if you come to serve Yah, prepare your soul for temptation. Set your heart aright and constantly endure, and make not haste in the time of trouble. Believe in him and trust in him. All right, I had to keep reading that over and over and over every single day because I didn't know how things were about to work out for me. All right, and so like I told you, I was willing to risk it all. So we was in a house that costed a nice amount of money to live in. I took our house payment from that house and I put it up for my first month's rent, my down payment, and the deposit at the end of the year. I put it all on the line, and we didn't know how we was about to pay this bill and this bill. I was ready to risk it all for the sake of continuing my business because I did not want to go back to having somebody tell me what to do every single day. I wanted to risk it all. And guess what happens? And then I used OPM. I had a line of credit. I was using other people's money, so I was able to take the cars that I previously had at my lot and put them on this brand new lot. And with that step of faith, it moved some mountains. The Most High allowed me to start getting the customers that I need to start building my capital back up. And I built it all the way up until COVID came. And then, we had to take a pause. But I'm here to tell you this, that if I would have just hoped to find a place, if I was just hoping one of these days after the Sabbath day, as soon as the sun went down, I'm talking about as soon as the sun went down, my wife went on Craigslist and she started looking for a place, and we found that spot. And when we went to have an interview with the person that was going to show us the property, what happened was he came and showed us the property, and I claimed a certain portion of the lot. If my wife was able to tell you, I claimed a lot. It's this gigantic, big old lot, and they had a trailer on one side of it, and I claimed the largest part of the lot. I literally claimed it all, and they gave it all to us for a very nominal price. But what I'm trying to say is that it's your faith that's going to move the mountains. You have to be willing to risk it all. Now, I want your risk to be calculated though. I don't want you to just risk everything and you're doing it foolishly. Risk everything and you don't know that you have the capability to be able to continue to move forward. If you have already had success in an endeavor, all right, be willing to risk it all for your freedom, for your family, for your future. Let's continue. So we talked about faith. Now, faith comes by hearing. You can read Hebrews chapter 11. You can see what we call the hall of faith. Individuals out in the sports world, they got a hall of fame. And over here in the spiritual world, we have what's called the hall of faith. And in Hebrews chapter 11, you can go through the hall of faith, and you can see all these individuals like Noah that had to exemplify his faith. That's what the Hebrew word emunah means. It means to act upon one's belief. Listen, I don't care what you say. I want to see your actions to show if what you believe is true. Same thing about other individuals. So now we got individuals in the scriptures that have the persistent widow. She continued to exemplify her faith. She kept coming to the judge over and over and over again. And finally, he said, get this woman what she wants so she can get up out of my face. All right, we have Abraham. All right, the Most High told him, go to a land that I will show you. How many of us on the line would have done that? Don't put your hands up. Don't put your hands up, because individuals like to say, I have the faith of Abraham. Really? I've heard a person say, I have the faith for Abraham. But are you willing to go to a city? Are you willing to go to a country? Are you willing to go to a place that you have never walked on before? Are you ready to go to a place where you're not known? When you come to a place where everybody don't know your name, like that song that he used to sing on that TV show. Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name and they're glad you came. Well, guess what? Well, how about going to a place where no one knows who you are? How about going to a place where you have to start completely over just because the Most High told you to do it? Well, guess what? I have that experience. My wife and I, we have that experience. Years ago, we was living in Ohio, all right, and all of a sudden I just felt the urge that I needed to move to Tennessee. I don't know why. Tennessee was calling me. Tennessee, Tennessee. We start seeing Tennessee license plates all driving through Ohio. Some of you come out the gas station. Somebody got a Tennessee sweater. We saw Tennessee so much. At first, it was just me. Next thing you know, my wife, she started seeing Tennessee all the time and all the places. So next thing you know, we start going over there, finding places. When the ban was lifted off and from COVID, we started going to Tennessee. We started on the east side of Tennessee. And for those of y'all that have been to Tennessee, Tennessee is really like 3 states in one. You got the east side, which is the Knoxville, what some people will call the hillbilly side. You got the Middle Tennessee, which is in Nashville, Murfreesboro. It's called Middle Tennessee. And then you got the Memphis side, which is the West Tennessee. Listen, I was like, listen, I ain't trying to mess with Memphis. All right, that's not on my list. I know Most High, you ain't telling me to go to Memphis. All right, I ain't hear that in my spirit. But I hear Tennessee. So guess what happens? We start on the east side, then we work our way to Middle Tennessee. And as we're in Middle Tennessee, on one of our visits down there, guess what happens? I was like, my wife, I'm doing the driving and she's doing the research. She's finding places, she's setting up appointments, houses for us to go look at. And upon one of the last houses, actually the last house on this visit, we was like, listen, we about to be done after this. I'm tired of going into these people's houses. They giving us key codes. We typing in codes. We walk into a house for a few minutes. Nah, this ain't it. We walk up in one house. They got like a swarm, an army of black birds on the back porch. Nah, this ain't it. This ain't where we about to be living at. All right. And finally, we walk into this last house of this trip, and we go into this house. And next thing you know, my wife and I, after we look at all the rooms, we like, nah, this don't look like it either. And we walk into this one room. This one room, it happened to be like one of the biggest rooms of the house. And we looked at each other and we start smiling like little children. And we looked at each other at the same time. And this overwhelming feel of joy and happiness came over both of us. And that ended up being the house that we moved into. But then we only stayed in Tennessee for a year and a couple months. So did the Most High really tell us to go there? Well, let's go ahead and see. That's where I eventually, after a couple months of being down there, one day I said, I'm going to go outside and start planting some seeds. I started saying, I prayed out loud. I said, I'm going to go out here and plant seeds. And I go to this place. I step into a Jamaican restaurant. Next thing you know, I'm in line. I see some people standing in line. I'm right there with my book. And this is when my book just freshly came out in 2020. I'm right there. I think I sell a copy of my book. And I say, oh, man, I might be able to come and set up inside of here and sell my books. I talked to the owner of the facility. She said, you're my brother. You could come in here and sell your books and you don't have to pay me anything. And from that restaurant, from that Jamaican restaurant, that book was close to an army facility, an army base. And from that location, the 12 fundamental laws went worldwide. You might not be able to look at Amazon and see that it went worldwide because they only got like 40-something 5-star reviews. Then that was my fault because I wasn't pressing people to leave reviews. But the reviews from that restaurant, all those people that bought my books in there, and I sat up in there for months and sold my books. Thousands of people got copies of that book, and they went across the seas. They went to different states around the world. But that came as a result of me operating in Amunah. Another thing, my wife, she was sitting over there thinking about the Most High. She felt like she wanted to be used of the Most High. All these different women were coming out with CDs and coming out with different albums. And she's sitting over there and she put the pressure on me one day. She was like, I want to get my stuff out there. So guess what? She acted in her belief. All right. And because she believed that I had the connections and the resources to make it happen. So she reached out to me. And next thing you know, I made some phone calls. That phone call led to another phone call. And next thing you know, she's recording a CD, recording her album with a Grammy nominated artist right there in a professional studio. And she made her CD. Once again, it's my fault. We haven't been promoted on the different streaming platforms. All right. But we're going to get around to it. We had some different life situations happening, but all these things happen as a result of us taking a step of belief. of faith. And then we came back to Kentucky. We had some business to take care of there. And then the Most High has been guiding us and leading us and building us and exalting us one day at a time as a result of our faith. All right. Our faith inspires us to persist towards a desired outcome. When you hear people talk about persistence, persistence is another word for faith. You would not persist if you did not believe in what you were already trying to do. Persistence. All right, so we have to have faith. We have to operate in faith in the Most High. Listen, you got to have faith in the ability that the Most High has given you. You have to believe in the talents. You got to believe in the giftings and the skills that He put inside of you. You got to believe that you have what it takes to build wealth. You got to believe that you have what it takes to formulate successful relationships. A man that has friends must first show himself friendly. Listen, you have to have faith. If you're a person that don't have any friends, you have to believe that you have what it takes to go out and start acquiring new friendships, relationships. As I interview some of the most successful, prominent people, they said relationships are key to a person building wealth. All right, so now we talked about hope. We talked about faith. When you talk about faith, all right, if you keep knocking, if you keep believing that if you keep knocking, doors are going to get open up for you, doors are going to fly open for you. Doors are waiting to get open for you right now. But you got to believe it. That's a part of it. So you go from hope. Hope is the lowest level of expectancy. Faith or belief is the second level of expectancy, the second to the lowest level. All right. Now, let's go to the third one. The third one is trust. Trust. You look at the Oxford definition for trust. It's a firm belief. What is another word for belief? Is faith. A firm belief in the real reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something. So now it goes from hope, it goes from belief, it goes to trust, which trust is a strong, firm belief. Not just a belief, it's a strong, firm belief. And what does it say in Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 5? Trust in the Most High with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct thy paths. Be not wise in your own eyes. Fear Yah and depart from evil. You see that? Trust in Yah with all of your heart, with a strong belief. If you trusting in the Most High, tell me which one sounds more powerful. I hope that this happen. Oh, I believe this is going to happen. I trust that the Most High about to come through and make a way for me. I trust. Proverbs chapter 3 and 5. Let's go to Psalm chapter 37. This is not a part of the wisdom books, but we're going to throw it in there anyway. Sometimes you got to grab from other books to support your cause. All right. Psalms chapter 37. And we're going to go to verse number 3. It said, trust in Yah and do good. So shalt thou dwell in the land. Verily, thou shalt be fed. Listen, trust in Yah, and He's going to provide food for you. Trust in Yah, and He's going to take care of you. All right, pay attention to that. Now, it's the last definition. This is the one I want to talk to right here. This is the final one. We got hope, we got belief, we got trust, and then we go to the final one, which is knowing. All right, when you know something. Let's go to John chapter 11, verse 42. This is outside of the wisdom book as well, but this is where I got to draw the scripture from. The book of John, chapter 11. Book of John, chapter 11. I'm over here, I'm flipping through a brand new scripture. All right, so bear with me. I'm not as fluent with this big old gigantic Bible that I got in my hand. John chapter 11 and verse number 42. That's what I'm looking for. All right. These are the words of Messiah. He said, and I knew that thou hearest me always, or I know that thou hearest me always, because of the people which stand by. I said it, that they may believe that thou hast sent me. So guess what the Messiah said? I know that thou hearest me always. Does that sound more stronger than I hope that you hear me, Father? Or I believe that you hear me. Oh, I trust that you hear me sound better, but I know that when I pray to you, Father, you are going to answer me. How many of us have that type of expectancy? How many of us on the live can share that type of level of expectancy and excitement? John 17:3. And this is life eternal, that they might know that thee are the only true Yah, the Messiah whom thou hast sent. So now, when we go to know, the Greek word for know is knowing is idu, is to be aware or to be sure. Let me ask you a question. Are you sure that when you pray to the Most High, that He's going to answer you? The Ema Azuriah's on the line tonight. One thing she said this a couple years ago. She said, brother, you got to get to the point that when you pray into the Most High, that you pray something to the Most High, and then you go about your business on to something else because you know that it's going to happen. Or you have an expectancy. She might not even remember telling me that. But that's how you got to be. That's how solid you have to be with your prayers, that when I pray to the Most High, I'm living right. I'm keeping His commandments. I'm trying the best of my ability to turn away the things of this world. I know that you hear me. That's where we got to be at. So this is fear and the 4 levels of expectancy.